We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 486. I'm your man behind the microphone and your new Scholars of Wrestling world champion. I am Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week, as always, the OG Undisputed Scholar himself. He is the one and only Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how's it feel to be in the presence of greatness?
Well, I'll go ahead and just say, congratulations on your title win, Jeff. Well deserved,
Thank you. In all
because
seriousness, it is much
nothing.
appreciated.
Yeah, because as we established last week, it really is just the luck of the draw. And even though I got a perfect card. Oh no, I'm not taking anything away from you. I'm not. You got very good wheel spins, and that's what helped you secure that. And as I even put it out last week when I even predicted that Rhea Ripley is going to be the one to pin Liv Morgan. Of course, I'm the unlucky one and got Liv Morgan on my wheel, so that made me lose a point. So, even with that, congratulations and just another uh, perfect card on my end. That's
This is how
just
the Scholars of
stacking up,
Wrestling rolls.
stacking
Victories
up.
upon victories, greatness upon greatness. It's what we do.
And I
Speaking,
also have to just point out before we move on, I also have to congratulate you for holding your team together in the Undisputed Scholars versus whatever you guys call yourself.
the JP
PJs.
connection.
The
Oh,
PJs.
trust me, we'll get there. In the meantime, speaking of greatness, we need to talk about the other person joining us this week, also an undisputed scholar in his own right. From the far reaches of parts unknown, he is Scholar Brian. Scholar Brian, how's life treating you, sir?
I will also congratulate you because I am not a bitter man. You deserve the win. You deserve to sit on top of that mountain for as long as you need to.
It won't be.
I just really hope that what you've been teasing us with, your announcements for how your reign is going to go, I hope it doesn't immediately turn into an immediate disappointment.
Me disappoint you, of
because the
course.
thing, because the thing, I you know what? I'm sitting back. You, I have a feeling that I am not going to be involved in your plans, which is perfectly fine. Sit back, relax, take a lay of the land, take some time off from the top of the mountain because I've spent most of the year on top of it. So give some other people some time. That's well and good, but the way that you and your tag team partner have been acting the last month or so. If that's how this is gonna be, uh, immediate disappointment.
Oh, I am a man of many plans, and we'll get to it all. But first things first, we must introduce the last member of our DK crew this evening. He is my delightful tag team partner in the JP Connection. He is the latest and arguably the greatest new scholar on the block. He is the one and only. He is Scholar Pete. Scholar Pete, how are we feeling tonight? You're looking quite dapper tonight, by the way.
Thank you, my tag team partner. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Scholar Pete. And what you have to realize is that my tag team partner, Scholar Jeff, is your Scholars of Wrestling champion. And that the other undisputed scholars congratulated him because they see his greatness. Look at the man, how he holds that title with pride. I am so happy to call you my tag team partner, Scholar Jeff. And I know the YouTubers and the podcasters watching everywhere, they're excited about this reign because one thing this reign is going to be is legendary.
Oh, yes, it most certainly will. And speaking of legendary, a legendary victory deserves a legendary title defense. because whenever I carry this delightful, beautiful, beautiful belt, a legendary, delightful, bold challenge must go with it. Which is
Absolutely.
why I'm sure you're wondering, how are you going to handle your future title defense? What does this reign of the Scholars of Wrestling Championship going to look like in the future? Well, I'm glad
Let
you
him know.
asked.
Let him know.
I will tell you because I must say I'm so proud of you, Scholar Pete, for for all of your hard work, all of your loyalty, all of your intrepid boldness, your effervescent qualities up
Yes,
and down the yard, which is why whenever I make assurances, whenever I make offers, I always make sure I pay my debts and I reward loyalty. It's the American way, after all. So, when in the spirit of that, I will say that you, Scholar Pete, are going to be my very first title defense. You and me, as promised. But you must be asking yourself, when is this title defense going to happen? I'll give you the date. February 1st. Royal Rumble. You and me, Scholar Jeff versus Scholar Pete, 1-on-1 for the Scholars of Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. I'll tell you what, it does not stop there. Oh no, because I am a generous, benevolent champion. Because I'm sure everyone else is thinking, well, wait a minute. What about me? How am I supposed to get a shot at this title? Well, I'll tell you. While Pete and I are jockeying for position for the Scholars of Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship, the rest of you will be in a scramble match for the number one contendership to face the champion for this lovely, prestigious title. Pete and I will face each other at Royal Rumble. Everyone else will be scrambling for the top score. The top scorer becomes the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. Those are my plans as champion. What say you, scholars, one and all?
Oh, congratulations, Pete. Congratulations, Pete, on getting exactly what you wanted. My condolences, Jeff, on the fact that your title reign is going to be so short. No. Do you not understand? Have you not seen how these things work?
I don't
Okay.
think, I just feel, man.
Yeah, and look where that's gotten you in the past, and look where it's going to get you again. Congratulations, Scholar Pete.
But look at where it's
on
gotten
your
me now.
Congratulations, Scholar Pete, on your ascension to the top. Because I know for a fact, all right, that I know how these things work, and Scholar Jeff just screwed himself.
Listen, I don't try to bring us down. Listen, my tag team partner, our Scholars of Wrestling champion right now, has just given the audience the Christmas present of the century. I mean, giving his tag team partner a title match at the Royal Rumble. I mean, this is what dreams are made of. And then to give you guys the chance to be a number one contender, that shows gracefulness. Just what a magnificent champion we have right now. And we should just be so thankful right now that he and Scholar Jeff, please. I accept. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I bet we're going to put on a show.
Thank you for being such a delightful partner in crime, a great tag team partner, the most loyalist of the loyalist.
JP connection for life.
JP connection indeed.
Scholar Tarek, good luck in the actual main event of the Royal Rumble instead of this shit show that we're going to have over here. The actual greatest members of the Scholars of Wrestling going, just showing our greatness before whatever this is going over here is going on. Especially since we have to wait 2 months in order for this to go down.
I am very disappointed in you, fool. Just
Oh,
I was hoping you'd be better than that, than just rewarding Pete's mediocre performance recently for a
I
title
mean,
shot.
perfect card over here.
Perfect card for the last few let's see. Survivor Series, perfect card. Hell in a Cell, perfect card. Bash in Berlin, perfect card. Recent shows, just I've been collecting win after win, and Pete comes in last place in Survivor Series, and that gets him a title shot. Might as well just be like, yeah, oh, the guy who's been kissing my ass, who has pretty much become the level of jobber when it comes to the scholars of wrestling. And what is it? Rewarding him with a title match? What is this? Going to be Jinder Mahal all over again, but in the scholars of wrestling format?
yes.
You know what that means?
You
Okay,
know
so
that's not good.
you're just assuring that Pete's gonna win the championship from you because Pete's in the Jinder Mahal position. So you're just gonna just at the rate you're going, the
Well,
rate you're
well,
accepting all this, might as well
well, you
have this
know,
be a finger poke of doom type of action.
well, you
Oh,
know, since he's so excited about it, since he's so excited, he's bouncing on the screen. Okay, since he's so excited about it, we'll just let it happen. We'll make our own fun.
Oh, we'll just at this point, Brian, at this all I can just seeing them all ecstatic about celebrating their mediocre performances. Sure, why not? Let the children have their fun with this one.
We're
Well,
still the one. We're still the ones sitting on top of the mountain as the
we're still
undisputed
the ones
scholar.
on top of the mountain waiting for
So
them to actually earn their place on the mountain. Jeff may be champion right now, but that's just once again luck of the draw. Because now it's just assurance that I will do whatever I can to win that title back and bring it back to being back on top of the mountain with us at the level of undisputed greatness.
and that's the kind of determination I want to see. I want to see ruthless aggression.
Get out. I'm all right. Get out right now. We're not
you
doing
want
that
to see?
shit.
He
We're not doing
wants
that
to
shit
see.
right now.
No, he wants to see ruthless aggression, but he refuses to actually perform it.
I am but a gentle soul.
Knowing his luck when it comes to Royal Rumble game. Yeah, let's see where this title reign leads him. Probably
As
the
the
history repeating itself once again. Because
as the man
so yeah,
says, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. But anyway,
Well, then you fail on both fronts.
oh, we'll get to that. Trust me. But we have a lot of wrestling this week to get through before we get to all that. And we got to kick things off right on here in the Scholars of Wrestling show with a little segment we like to call Backstage News.
indeed, we shall go ahead once again and peek behind that curtain and just be like, oh wait, there's Charlie and Jeremy just sitting in the background, hearing Jeff's claim of Pete being the greatest new Scholars of Wrestling champion, and be like, are we meaning nothing to you? So when they eventually come back, you're gonna not only you have the undisputed scholars after you, but you're probably gonna get a reunited Chaz quick and to go after you as well. And just like, oh yeah, this is the intro to
Backstage news.
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 Delayed reactions.
That's your number one contender. That's the number one contender.
Let me
People.
tell you, put it on Brian, and then when he didn't speak, I was like, "Oh shit, it's definitely on me."
Deal.
On my screen, you're over here. He's over here.
On mine,
Let's see. In my screen, Jeff is right here. Brian is down, and Pete is right here.
And
But anyway,
this is the only way that you could get me and Charlie united on a specific issue. Meh.
See, this is what I do as champion. I bring people together. I create unity. This is what
Don't
I
want to
do.
just don't want to pull a Booker T and it's like we're coming for you. I'm not
No,
going to drop that. I'm not going to continue that
absolutely
sentence.
not. See, I bring people together. And as a matter of fact, I bring people together so hard that I bring
Yeah.
people together who you think will never come back together again, such as Jesse Ventura back to WWE, because it was just announced this past week that he is going to be on the announce team for Saturday night's main event. I'll tell you what, I know that for all of us longtime fans, it's going to be a great combination. It's going to be great to see Jesse Ventura back at the announce desk. But the real question I had is, at Jesse Ventura's age, who knows if he can still do it again? Can he still do it again? How is everyone feeling about this specific arrangement? Jesse Ventura back at the announce desk for Saturday night's main event.
I, for one, don't know if he can actually do it, but I'm excited because I know either way, whether it's a shit show or whether it's great. Okay, I know that Jesse Ventura is a very funny character. He's amusing, whether in certain ways. Okay, so at the very least, it's going to be glorious, no matter how it goes. It's either going to be a glorious shit show, or it's going to be a glorious good time. There's no in between.
The way I look at this is, are we going to get a Jesse Ventura who's going to be the equivalent of what JR has been recently for AEW? That when he shows up, he is just angry and just be like, "What is this bullshit?" Are we gonna have a Jesse Ventura who has not been following the product and just be like, "What is this guy's deal?" Just asking questions. So is this are we gonna get a little confrontation between him and Karrion Cross, which I would kind of adore, knowing the Karrion Cross's impression of Jesse Ventura is on the scale of greatness. That would be a fun little back and forth. Would love to see. But I, we're most likely gonna get a trio of Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Jesse Ventura for this show. Most likely he'll be, if anything, like main event position. I don't know if he'll be on the entire show. I will be shocked if it's the entire show.
I mean,
But I'm ex
the way they were talking, he's on it's a three-man group the entire night.
interesting.
So at
Ah,
that point, it'll be like you've got the play-by-play, you've got the color commentator, and then you've got Jesse Ventura just putting in the sides every now and then, and that to me is like the sweet spot. If he's just putting in the sides and just saying random shit like every
throwing
once
subtle
in a while,
digs
that's
at
fine.
Vince.
That's fine. But if you're gonna make them do like actual work for it's a Saturday night's main event, right? So it's a two
Mhm.
hour show.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, if it's only a 2 hour show, and if you're trying to make him do a full 2 hour show and have him like fully integrated into the product, I don't think that's going to work. But if he's just putting in like one liners every now and again while Corey Graves and Michael Cole are doing all the work, I think that can work.
Oh, he's gonna be
100%. I
so
agree.
lost though.
I think with Jesse Ventura coming back to commentary, great, good vibe. Bring over because you know those are gonna have people be watching. You want to see the people watch to see what he does. Is he going to be great or like you gentlemen says, are they going to be just not as good? I think at the end of you're going to look for is what you fine gentlemen have already said. It's going to be, hey, he's there for the whole show, but the problem is like he's just going to do his one-liners. He's just going to go, oh my, like make those things while Michael Cole and Corey Graves play their part in their commentating. And it's just, hey, great to see him here. It's a good atmosphere because, you know, the McMahon's are no longer quote unquote a part of it, So now here is a new regime. Let's see how he does. I think it could be fun. And even if it sucks, it's going to be fun, like Scholar Brian said.
Absolutely. But that also was not the only news to break on the WWE side this week. Even just today, the Hollywood Reporter reported that WWE is going to be producing a brand new television show called WWE LFG, which stands for Legends and Future Greats. It is details are vague at the moment, but is apparently a reality based competition show where up and coming wrestlers are going to be trained in a manner that is very reminiscent of WWE Tough Enough, presumably with a winner being crowned for and then moving on to the main roster. Again, exact details are very scarce at the moment. This was just announced today, but for all of us that remember Tough Enough, which is what this sounds like, this is starting to look very, very intriguing. Uh, this just broke today. Did any of you get a chance to hear about this, and what was your
Mhm.
initial reaction?
I heard about it. It was one of those, hey, I enjoyed Tough Enough whenever it was on TV. If what I'm hearing is correct, and it is like an updated version of Tough Enough, where you get the, but you actually have like people like big time names. Like they were just throwing anybody on there by the end to do the training. But but if you actually have like big time names and you do and you turn this into something like the first couple of seasons where you had Maven and you had at the very beginning the first version of it before they bought it back. But if it's like that, I'm all for it because I enjoyed that TV show. Don't give me that shit that they were putting on NXT TV. I don't need any of that. But if you're doing the actual competition show that they had, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I'm all for it as well. Yeah, I I can't really say anything bad about the original run for Tough Enough, but it looks like from what I saw like a group shot of potent of people like who are trainers like Mickey James and The Undertaker, someone who will be hosting this, and I'm just very intrigued on how they're gonna do this. Are we gonna get like just people out of the blue who wanted to do this and it's like, oh, we'll just sign them up through the performance center, or are we actually gonna get uh people who actually do have actual experience, like maybe through like the independent scene coming in and actually trying to make their way through the WWE market this way. So yeah, I'm very intrigued on what's where they're gonna go with this, and yeah, I liked Tough Enough, at least the original run. I like what Brian said. No, none of the Tough Enough that actually just had them do silly competition stuff in the ring, like similar to uh the original NXT. Nothing like that. I actual reality I can say actual, but like a reality background that or reality based show. Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I'm for it as well. I mean, as long as it's not Legends House, because we all remember that on the WWE Network. But in all seriousness, I think with how WWE has been in the last, I would say year, with definitely with Triple H at the helm, with making smart choices, really getting people back engaged. I mean, if they're doing this Tough Enough type reality experience and the Undertaker's attached to it, like Mickey James, they ain't somebody to mess around with. I think this could be legit and I think it could be great. And the nice thing with WWE now is they talk about other promotions. They brought up TNA, and it's something where, hey, like the curtain's pulled back. So now, like, oh, we can get guys from the indie scene. We can get guys from these promotions to see how they're doing. And I think it could be great just overall for the business and for people on the indies trying to make their name in what is the global phenomenon of WWE.
Absolutely. And speaking of global phenomenon, we can't go much further without talking about how we got here to this present moment. And that is also involving the fallout from WWE Survivor Series. Because I don't know about you guys, but a lot of us had a very interesting watch experience when it came to Survivor Series this year. We came off at the time when we were all at a karaoke party, or most of us were, and a lot of us were watching this on our phones. How was the watch experience for you with WWE Survivor Series?
Well, I watched it on a tablet in parts unknown, but I went into it. I was like, I saw, I watched the show last week. I saw the predictions. I saw what came out of the wheel and was like, okay, so I'm not walking out of this as the champion. I don't need to worry about any of that. I could just sit down, enjoy, and watch the show. So it was a I I wouldn't say it was a fully enjoyable experience. I had some issues with the show as a whole. I don't think it was one of the better shows of the year, but it it was good. It was a good show, but for me, I'm not going to remember. There was nothing where I'm like, oh God, I'm going to remember this until the end of time. It was something enjoyable to sit through, and it did its job. It moved a bunch of stories. I loved the Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight was just kind of there. It was like a 10-minute match that did its job, and it was perfectly fine. And with an unexpected winner, I did not expect them to actually put the title on Shinsuke. Okay, I had I had a bunch of problems with the women's uh, War Games match, basically because it was paint by numbers with spots that we've seen before multiple times. So, sometimes the Io Sky garbage can spot, I've seen that like 6 times in a War Games match now. When it shows up, it doesn't even pop me anymore. It's like there was nothing in that match that was memorable. It was paint by numbers. It was fun. The best matches on the show for me were the triple threat, because Braun Breaker needs to be main eventing WrestleMania next year. 2026, put it down, book it. Whatever he's doing, it's got to be the main event. He's gonna be bigger than Roman and Cody in 2 years tops. That dude has everything you want and need as your top guy. And the War Games main event was made by people who know wrestling. Everything in that was it forwarded the story. The ending was what it needed to be. I love that everybody got to hit their finisher on Solo. I love that. And the right guy got the pin, but nothing out of the show is going to be memorable for me. I'm not going to look back a couple months from now and be like, "Hey, remember this?" Remember this moment from that show. Except for the part where Bronson Reed jumped off the top rope and broke both of his feet.
Yeah,
That's
there were
confirmed, by the way. That's
oh yeah,
confirmed.
we got
It
a
was confirmed
whole
that it
lot
was
of
both
Yeah,
their feet. Oh,
yeah,
that
yeah.
sucks.
There was a whole lot of injuries coming out of this past week. We have Bronson Reed with a broken foot. We have Tonga Loa with a torn bicep, and Jimmy Uso has a broken toe.
yeah. They only confirmed one of the foot, but both those things broke. I promise you.
Such a shame. Speedy recovery for all who got injured, but the Bronson Reed one is really the biggest heartbreak on my end, just because he's been so entertaining the past few months.
I saw him up on top of that cage, and I was like, "This could go wrong in so many ways." You need to land like flat. You don't land flat, okay? You're breaking bones, and he didn't land flat. So prophecy fulfilled. But that was a match that was specific. It was more story than anything else. But you know what? In a War Games match that is filled with story, that works. Whereas the women's War Games was a spot fest that didn't really do anything with spots that we've seen before. So it's like I'm just gonna get my stuff out of the way. As you've already seen, I've basically talked about the whole show. So I'm just gonna be like, it was a high classic OT for me. It was a high 3 stars.
All right. Any other thoughts on the rest of the show at large? Because again, all I happened to catch right away before we started our evening in earnest was the women's War Games match, which, as you said, was very paint by numbers. But I found my as the night went on and we kept checking in, I found myself very much surprised, pleasantly so, by some of the results we were seeing and some of the dynamics at play with this, especially as the night went on and we got to the men's War Games match itself. The rest of it was surprisingly good. I was not expecting to land the extra points for
Oh, I knew you were.
for a title win. Hey, I
You
never
got
know.
very good picks.
I did, and I wasn't. I was like, wait a minute, that's too obvious. No, I don't believe it. Well, again, just because something's paid by numbers does not make it bad. But it happened. The show as a whole also had some pleasant surprises too, including the Shinsuke Nakamura win. I did not expect that, but hey, apparently I've been wrong before.
I
Uh,
mean, when it came to the show, Scholar Brian said it. I think it was all about the story moments. You think about when CM Punk, goes out and Roman stops him, you know, and he makes Sammy go instead. And then you have CM Punk burst through him when he was going to go. And it was just Punk saving Roman from going through Bronson and Bronson killing Roman Reigns from that crazy top rope. Like it was these great moments. The story were moments. The Shinsuke versus LA Knight. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he had to lose the belt. Like he had a okay, I would say decent US title reign, but Shinsuke's back. He's got a new character. It's much more of a mystic, I would like to call it. It intrigues me. So put the belt on him. Make it so that this is the Shinsuke that's not from years ago where who got shitted on. This is the Shinsuke that is that warrior from all the way back in the day.
So Scholar Brian kicked us off with his beard rating. How about the rest of us? What rate? All this being counted into account. What would you other guys happen to give Royal Rumble? Excuse me, Survivor Series 2024, 1 through 5 beard rating. What you got?
I would just like to state I make it 3, but also that a year ago from the Survivor Series, CM Punk came back. That's crazy. I just want you all to us for us to realize that the man main evented War Games when he returned a year ago. Craziness, how the wrestling world works. But 3 out of 5. Strong three, like Scholar Brian. I'll join him on that. Strong 3 out of 5. But story based. It was all story.
Jeff, you pretty much gave your review of it, so you can go next with your rating.
Okay. Uh yeah, honestly, as as much as we I don't know about you, but I tend to think of 3 out of 5 as just sort of a mediocre score. But after thinking about it, it really isn't. After everything we've talked about thus far, I feel like, and well, from everything that we saw, 3 out of 5 is a solid score for this pay per view. Not bad at all, but a little predictable, minus some things here and there. But overall, not bad at all. I believe the classic goatee 3 out of 5 score does stand. Cool. What do you think?
And I'm just gonna fill that. I'm just gonna complete this rating system and also give it a very strong 3 out of 5. Um, I had plenty of problems when it came to this show. None of them were from the main event. Like I had no criticisms on that one other than just, God damn it, we lost three people in this one. Bronson Reed in particular, because like I said, he was one of the best things on WWE TV for a while. Um, and my match of the night, like wrestling wise, was also the triple threat match because it was just a perfect display of what the Intercontinental Championship should be about with the mid card, especially specifically on Raw. And now we're going to see that journey that Sheamus is going to go through to finally get that Intercontinental Championship win and win the uh, to become a Grand Slam champion, or at least the ultimate Grand Slam champion, since he did everything else: Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, King of the Ring. Um, the women's War Games match I really didn't enjoy. I think I'm going to be a little more harsher on that one, mainly just because just Nia Jax's performance, because that's going to be the one that's going to be the memorable factor in that. Like no one's going to talk about, oh, it's just another EO drop, trash can drop, or nothing. Just Nia Jax. This was Nia Jax's worst match back since being back, and it's not like I saw those chair shots, and I'm just going, that is very cringe, and just how she was just not communicating with Bailey. It was very sloppy. But I guess just War Games kind of let that one slide, but I can't let it slide. Um, my big, and then the other one that was just a big no for me was just you have Rhea Ripley being the one. I know I'm going to be one of those people. It's like, oh, you're just sick of Rhea Ripley, that. It's more to it than that because I'm looking at the story and the criticisms I've been having with Rhea Ripley, and I'll even throw Damian Priest in that mix and just combine it with the world title match with Gunther. That Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest have just been booked too strong for my liking to the detriment of Liv Morgan, who, in my personal opinion, Io Sky should have been the one that actually got the pin because it just devalues her number one contendership. Uh, it's just like, oh yeah, pinned Liv, so that means that we know Io's gonna win, but we just can't completely blow it off like how WWE did it. Granted, it would have canceled me out, but I don't care. I'm just the guy who just trying to enjoy the storytelling and just blowing off your number one contender for the 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 superstar who has just been booked so strong that it's kind of like taking the joy out of it. And then you have Damian Priest, which I said last week, I didn't want Finn Balor to interfere. I want this to be Gunther's redemption of all the people who left those stains in his career, which, yeah, like He beat Randy Orton after the whole King of the Ring debacle. He beat Sami Zayn, the first person on the main roster to pin him. And you have this Damian Priest, which he won the title, which I've said it before on the show, with Finn Balor interfering before, and I just didn't like that. It's making me not enjoy Gunther's world title reign. Granted, there's also that other side of the coin. Looks like they're slowly turning him face, which I've said in the past I think he can do very well. But I'm done with everything that has to do with Judgment Day when it comes to at least the Raw side. But with the reports coming in that Finn Balor being the locker room leader for the past year and is on the set getting a big singles push next year, hopefully it'll be at a point where Judgment Day is dead because I'm tired of Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. I'm tired of Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. That's the only real part of WWE television that I'm just not enjoying. And it's just disappointing because it's at the expense of Gunther. So yeah, I'm gonna get I'm not gonna give it the more I'm describing it now, I think I'm just gonna give it a regular 3 out of 5. But with the reports in that like that whole thing is by design, it's supposed to be just that last straightforward, simple show when we're now building onto the big stuff, like the Netflix, Raw going to Netflix and Royal Rumble season starting. Now the good stuff is yet to come, and we saw a good strong hint of that with what happened on Raw with Drew McIntyre coming back and attacking Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, which it which is a result of Bronson Reed hurting his feet. You got the opening segment with Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn of pointing out the fact that Roman Reigns has not apologized to any of his family members, including Sami. So we're cheering a guy who hasn't changed, but is still being pushed as a face, and having all these people around. It's back to the whole. It's like now we're really digging in to big story beats as now we're building to what's happening, what's the inevitable Netflix deal, and the build to this year's WrestleMania, starting with Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I don't think I could segue any better than that. This was a very strong opener for this past week's Monday Night Raw. But for me personally, it was not the most fascinating one. Speaking of factions breaking up and finally moving on, I felt the complete opposite with what happened with between all the members of the New Day this past week. This by far was one of the strongest segments of the entire week. I think a lot of us were, well, I don't know about you. You tell, obviously the rest of you can chime in once you've got your input here. But going into the New Day segment, my prediction was Big E was going to come back. Everything he was going to reunite everybody, and then the New Day was going to Big E was going to come back from injury, and it was going to be a new day. Yes, it was, and everyone's friends again. And here's to another 10 years of New Day. This did not happen. Instead, we got, oh no, wait, Kofi and Xavier are staying together, but they totally dunked on Big E. And it almost seemed it made as much sense as these things can make, but still, the entire thing was very well executed, very well done by all involved, but it shocked me in a way I honestly did not expect to be shocked. Uh, Gentlemen, what did you think of this segment with the New Day, and do you like their direction that they're currently going?
I absolutely loved this, and just give a call out as was posted on the Scholars Facebook and X, the with end of an era for the New Day, who once held the OG undisputed, the OG Scholars of Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. Quick cameo, but oh, what I loved about this is it was how they were presenting themselves of them like seeing all the memorabilia of their 10 years together, and it looks like they were getting ready to actually go their separate ways. But then you have Big E trying to come in and save them by being their manager. But the best part about it is he actually did save the New Day, but at the cost of him getting thrown out. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston were, after what happened last week with what they said to one another, all throwing all down the down parts of their time together, from Xavier Woods getting destroyed for getting his crown destroyed, not winning a singles championship, and Kofi losing the title in like throwing Kofi Mania out the window by losing the title in under 6 seconds. Um, when you have Big E coming in to try to save the New Day, like I said before, he actually did end up saving them, but just at the cost of now you have Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston looking at their faults, and it's like it's not, look at all their downbeats. It's like, well, it's not our fault. They're not taking the responsibility of all the stuff they did through their careers. It's like, we're just going to take it out on you. This was, where have you been? Uh, once you left, you injure your decks. So what? So it just now turned as like, oh, it's not our fault that we're having all these faults of losing the championship and all that, and not winning a singles championship and just not being on the same page. We're now, it's like, it's not our fault. It's your fault. It's taking all the anger and build frustrations that they have with each other and they're just throwing it at Big E to the point where now we get a brand new heel New Day. They're probably not even going to be called the New Day after this one. They'll probably change. Yeah, they're going to change their look. They're going to change their music. They're going to just change everything. And I loved every second of it. It was such great WWE television, and I just can't wait to see what they have in store next.
And this is the one thing that popped into my head as soon as Xavier Woods told him to get back behind the desk. You're never getting cleared again. You're never getting cleared, so go back behind the desk and leave us alone. The one thing that popped in my head, he's already cleared. He's going to be in the Rumble, and he's going to eliminate Kofi and Xavier, because they wouldn't bring that into it. They wouldn't bring the clearing into it if it wasn't already part of the plan.
I had the
So
same feeling.
we're
Yeah,
getting Big E in the ring sooner rather than later, and I think he's going to be. And I mean, put it in my stat sheet now. He's going to be my he's going to be one of my surprise entrants for the Royal Rumble, because they're already starting that build. You're never going to be cleared, so go back in the back and go back behind your desk. It's already happened. He's already cleared. They're just saving it for the Rumble.
What do
that's
you
what I
think?
think is going to happen too.
What do you think, Scholar Pete? Are they gonna save Big E for the Royal Rumble, or do you think something else is gonna come out of this storyline?
Yeah, Big E's definitely going to the Rumble. I mean, that's a slam dunk. Scholar Brian, words of the wise today, so I will give you your kudos today. You're not my Scholars of Wrestling champion, not like my tag team partner for the JP connection, but who is? Uh,
Only me. Only me.
and who got you there, buddy? When I'm listen, we got there and you
Real supports
succeeded.
real. Real supports real.
But beyond that, it's great because like Scholar Brian did say, you see it because they're not going to bring that up, especially like how that story was going. You saw it going into Kofi versus Xavier. Everybody was seeing that, but then you know that again. I feel like this new regime in WWE where you have the best help. WWE is flourishing more than it's ever been. It's taking care of its people. It's taking Thanksgiving off so they can spend it with her. Like, it's just a good atmosphere for everybody involved. So you know that Big E went to the doctors, he was seeing, and they've been waiting for this moment. And again, it's long storytelling. Is that not what we've been seeing in this last 6 months of this product? It's long storytelling, and you just see them bringing up the New Day 10 years. Oh my God, look at this. The Bootios in the background. Who doesn't love a good old cereal of Bootios? But I mean, in all
Hey, I
seriousness,
will say when I did get my hands on a box of Bootios, I made some Bootios marshmallow treats out of those things, and they turned out pretty darn good. So hey, I'm not talking smack about no Bootios.
you're a brilliant man. Who would think that? Only a brilliant man. Are you related to Einstein, Scholar Jeff? Because my God, one and the same with your IQ. But like I said, scholars, we know he's coming back. Royal Rumble is the scene. Eliminate Xavier, eliminate Kofi. Have that cool WrestleMania moment where he. It's a nice one on two or what have you. Like, this has this segment made me so much more excited for what's in store for the New Day. How is this going to unravel?
But I will say though, speaking of long-term storytelling and actually revisiting storylines, and actually rewarding the fan base for actually paying attention, we even got that right on this past SmackDown, right before we were supposed to jump on here and start recording, because we have new tag team champions in DIY who were faking a breakup. They were doing something with a lot of that tension we've been seeing over the past several weeks. But it turns out, nope, it's just a ploy to pull a fast one on the referee and lull the Motor City Machine Guns into a false sense of security. They pull a fast one, 1, 2, 3, bam. DIY are the new WWE Tag Team Champions as of tonight.
Johnny Gargano with the low blow on Chris Sabin. How about it?
Year of our
It's
Lord 2024. Who knew?
yeah.
I think the one real fact that I can look at this with DIY is, as I was really hoping that their face run would have actually worked, but unfortunately, they just weren't connecting with crowds. So hopefully, this
The,
heel turn will actually help them get to that point of getting legit reactions from the crowd, not just crickets.
well,
And
the
so when
issue,
it's inevitable that they get their face turns again, I think now people will be invested in them.
well, the issue for me is you're gonna hate this comparison, but it's got to be made. But, some people, for me, just aren't made to be face. Okay, Johnny Gargano, yes, all day, every day. Was actually shocked they pulled the trigger and had him low below Chris Sabin. But it's like based on the heel run that Tommaso Ciampa had in NXT after he turned on Gargano, it's like it was too good. You know when it's too good and you can no longer see that person as a babyface? That's where I'm at. So it's like you're trying so hard to make this guy a babyface and it's not working for me. So when they started this bit going on of Tommaso Ciampa basically trying to get Johnny Gargano to get his head in the game, stop being so nice. We we're here for championships, not friendships, and that kind of deal. I'm like, okay, this is the Tommaso I want to see. Are they going to have the balls enough to pull the trigger on Johnny? That's where it's at for me. I'm not personally. I do not want to see Tommaso Ciampa as a babyface. After seeing what he's able to put into a heel character in NXT, I no longer feel the need to see him as a babyface ever. If that means taking Johnny Gargano down with you, cool. If that means him turning on Johnny Gargano at some point, Johnny Gargano turning back into the massive babyface, Cool. I don't need to see Tommaso Ciampa on the other side ever again. That's just where I'm at.
Honestly, at this point, I'm right there with you. After I didn't expect DIY to come through like this, but dang it, that's exactly what they did. I'm glad I was not expecting them to be able to circle back around to being an over heel team, but I am pleasantly surprised. Very pleasantly surprised. Makes me very hopeful for their position on the card going forward, especially at this year's WrestleMania. They were just sort of another team. And a lot of the other teams that were in that match at WrestleMania, there was just sort of a feeling of meh around the entire match. Now, now not so much. Now there's something more to look at. I'm glad there's some more tangible progress happening, especially in DIY's general direction.
When I say they're gonna turn face, I can see them basically pulling their DIY characters as heels, something similar to what New Day did. Going back to the New Day discussion, I could see them coming like they're just going to be so charming with their heel DIY characters that I actually think it would actually turn them around as being face again. I see what you guys are saying about you don't want that Tommaso Ciampa is just too good a heel to just to the point where you don't want to see him turn babyface ever again. I just think that I think it will come to that. I wouldn't be angry if he ever turned face again either. But I see it happening. I see, like I said, I see it being a New Day 2.0 with these guys that their characters are just going to be such good entertaining heels that it's going to get the crowd on their side that they're going to choose to turn them faces again.
Let me tell you
What
something. Motor City Machine Guns for life.
And
Travesty
that
what we saw. You all not talking about the Motor City Machine Guns and the tragic loss that we just saw. I mean, let me tell you something. This is going to be great matchups between these two tag teams, and I cannot wait for it. And by God, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, I'm here for you guys. We will get our titles back. You will get your titles
you
back.
hear that you hear that shit, Jeff?
oh,
Freudian slip.
That wasn't a Freudian slip or nothing. See, this is what I do. I take you on a ride and you all love it. This is what I provide. But anyway,
at the
speaking of
Oh,
expense
going,
at the expense of thyself.
eh, hey, the road goes ever on and on. And speaking of the road going ever on and on, we can't close things out here at the Scholars of Wrestling without talking about the latest happenings at AEW. Specifically, this past week, or past couple weeks rather, the 2024 Continental Classic, or the new Continental Classic, has just been raring up. But while we've been getting great match after great match these past week and a half, another surprising development has happened on the ROH side of things. Have you guys been keeping up with what's been happening with the Ring of Honor title
Are
situation?
you talking about the ROH title match?
I am indeed talking about the
Yeah,
ROH title match
yes.
set
Uh,
for Final
Mis-
Battle.
Mr. Matt Cardona has made an appearance to challenge for Chris Jericho's ROH title, which sadly, look, okay, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Nobody cares about the ROH title. Nobody cares about ROH as a whole, especially because you keep giving the title back to Chris Jericho, who probably shouldn't be holding titles right now. You probably should have kept it on Mark Briscoe. But if it's gonna get Matt Cardona in your in your ring on your show, cool. We know who's winning this match. It'll be good to see Matt Cardona though.
I do have to say though, I may not care too much for Ring of Honor, but damn it, I really, really want to care more about Ring of Honor. I want them to get some sort of a TV deal. I want them to be more accessible, more readily accessible. I want to see more of their matches. I want to see more of their wrestlers because they got a ton of great talent over there.
They do.
I want them, if this, I just really want them to succeed. And I understand the thought about Chris Jericho, but at the same time, I kind of hope that they bring in Matt Cardona. I hope they sign Matt Cardona. I hope that he can do more with Ring of Honor, and what I just hope that that's what they do. That this whole upcoming feud is going to be a thing that bring in the next step in Ring of Honor to getting a TV deal, to getting more light shine on the great wrestlers and great everything that they've got in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, it's like I would not be adverse to that, but the way they've treated it so far, I really think they're just bringing him in for a one-shot deal, and it's going to be one loss and out, and that's disappointing, which ROH has been since it basically came on board. But it's it is what it is at this point. The it's getting Chris Jericho off. I'm at this point. Chris Jericho needs to stay off of TV. And this is me talking. Okay, I was a Chris Jericho mark. I'm like, but you know what? Sometimes when it's over, it's over. You know, and it's been over for a bit. So it's like anytime Chris Jericho is on the screen, I'm just like, oh, cool, here we go. Oh, Matt Cardona, that's cool. Oh, Chris Jericho's talking again. Shit. That kind of deal. And it sucks that it's gotten to that point, but until the title is off of Chris Jericho, I really don't care. That's just what it is.
I mean,
No,
it is true that the man, I feel, does have to, maybe hang up the boots or take some time off because, you see Jericho, who is a very accomplished athlete, won titles everywhere he's been. And then you look at somebody like Rey Mysterio, which is still going in the ring, because of like how he goes about his lifestyle and everything. But it's something where, to echo what against Scholar Brian said, I would love if Matt Cardova like it got signed and then really like brought ROH back to the I don't want to what the indie that it was, that everybody knew. If you were an indie wrestling fan, you wanted to go to ROH. It was ROH TNA. There was always those talks of, oh, will they ever come to take down You need that again. And I think this match, even though, like you gentlemen both said, we know it's still it's crazy. To me, it's craziness that the just how AEW is right now. Like it's looking like two different things between AEW, like booking wise versus WWE and their booking wise. For me personally, gentlemen, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, I mean this week, this, as I said outside the broadcast, okay, this week in particular, since they started the Continental Classic, it's the way that they've done it where they're intertwining all of the stories that are involved right now into the Continental Classic, which is something they didn't do last year. Last year, it was all about the matches. It was all about the matches. There was really no story involved. The only real story that was involved was Daniel Garcia trying to gain confidence in himself. The entire classic. That was pretty much it. And then you had Eddie Kingston running through everybody at the end of it to get the Continental title.
Oh,
So
I think it was
this,
about Eddie Kingston more than anything.
well, yeah, no,
Once he said
no,
he was putting it all on the line, like, well, that's it. He's
well,
winning.
that no doubt. That's why I was like the only stories going through that Continental Classic was Eddie Kingston and Daniel Garcia. That was it. Everybody else there was to have matches and have a good time and do good matches and just get the star ratings up. But this one, they're incorporating all the stuff, the Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay stuff. They're incorporating all the Death Rider stuff. They're in, they're incorporating all the stories are locked into this Continental Classic, and this week in particular, everything on that show had a purpose. Everything on that show made sense. Everything on that show is building towards a bigger point, which is something you can't say about AEW in the past couple months. There's been a lot of filler in these shows in that you include the story beats, but you also include matches that don't really need to be there. Why is this here? That kind of deal. There's a lot of that. None of that in last week's show. So I enjoyed this week's Dynamite. And next week should be great because we're getting Claudio versus Ospreay. Jesus Christ.
Which is making me think that hopefully all this Death Rider stuff is the first of many things that slowly but surely over the next few months or so, we're going to see AEW as a whole really start to sharpen up as storyline starts coalescing, everything starts coming together, especially after the fallout from the Continental Classic, and more people start coming back from injury.
And the best part about it now, this Death Rider stuff, you now have higher stakes. Okay, I love Orange Cassidy, I really do. But when he and Darby Allin are the biggest names in your company that are going after this group, yeah, we all expect Darby Allin to be the one to end up taking the title off of Jon Moxley and bringing the downfall of the Death Riders. But now you have Hangman Page and Jay White involved. So just bringing those two in makes this a bigger deal than it was a couple weeks ago. So it's like, okay, start bringing your big names in. They've gone after the Jobber Crew and the Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. They've saved Darby Allin for later. Let's get some big names in here. Let's make this something that it should be. So now they've brought in Hangman Page. They've brought in Jay White. There's the outside influence of Christian Cage coming in. Okay, everything's starting to coalesce. Everything's starting to make more sense. Everything's starting to tighten up, and everything's being implemented in this tournament. So it's like wins all around. Just keep it going. Instead of being great for 1 week and then all of a sudden turning next week into filler, just keep what you were doing. You've hit the sweet spot. The sweet spot was this week. Keep it there. Ride it out. And let's see where this goes.
You might even say, Death Ride it out. Had to. It was there. I had to take it. In the meantime,
let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you can find him at comedy clubs all over the nation. Scholar Jeff perform for you live because he's just a funny, great champion.
Bring your tomatoes.
Scholar Pete, you're already getting your title shot. You can stop kissing my ass. Thank you very large.
All right, Tarek, we got to get our tomatoes ready.
Tomatoes, lettuce, all kind of vegetables.
I'll make myself a big old salad. I don't care.
Oh, good. They've opened the salad bar. Wait. Pete gets another shot. He gets another shot.
He does?
Yes,
he does.
With all that fantastic.
Well, with all of that craziness now behind us, you've heard what we have to say about this past week in wrestling. Now we pitch it back over to you, our fellow fans. What do you think of the current direction that WWE is going in? What did you think of this year's Survivor Series? Will you be watching Saturday night's main event or WWE LFG, whatever is going on with AEW? No matter what you think, all across the spectrum, let us know all across the internet, YouTube comments, Facebook posts, or you can also join in the conversation with us directly on the Twitter machines because we're sure not calling it X. Scholar Tarek, where can they reach you?
You can reach me really not giving it two shits about the Matt Cardona Chris Jericho feud because I didn't put my 2 cents in on that one. Not so I don't give a shit at the Avatar.
Speaking of not giving a shit, Scholar Brian, where can they reach you?
You can reach me enjoying the fact that Drew McIntyre remembered he also hates Sami Zayn and Jey Uso at Atomic Beanpole.
And my delightful effervescent tag team partner, Scholar Pete, where can they reach you?
They can find me at Hope Jesse Ventura doesn't fuck up during commentating. At
It's gonna be
Improv
glorious.
Pete.
And you can find me enjoying the fruits of my labor with my Scholars of Wrestling Championship at I'm Robbie Rage. We're going to be smack talking for months now. It's going to be a long, delightful ride, but you already knew that because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
See you all next
You're
week for
welcome.
more delightful shenanigans.